you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K,
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond Moore
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Hello and welcome to another edition, an early edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy. Pierre, I know you're in Toronto for your Hall of Fame duties. Is it a scorcher up there like it is down here?
Yeah, I can see from the background of my shot that it's a scorcher. I'm on the 38th floor of my hotel. I should have closed the other curtain. I thought the sun would be over there, but it's not. So I apologize for that. And yeah, it's really warm here. There's no question. Yesterday, for those that know downtown Toronto, I took the bus from Billy Bishop Airport, which is right downtown, to the Royal York Hotel. And then I walked 4 blocks to the hotel where I usually stay when I'm at the Hall of Fame events. I look like I just finished 12 rounds in the ring, man. Jimmy, it was hot here yesterday.
You caught. We spoke right before the podcast there, but when you originally called, I was in the shower because I just took a walk down the street to get some milk, and I came back. I was drenched. I mean, it is muggy across the country right now, and also in Canada as well. So everybody, stay cool, stay safe out there. Pierre, the fun has begun in terms of draft week. We already had a trade go down today, and a pretty notable one. Trevor Zegras has finally been dealt by the Anaheim Ducks. We've been hearing for a while now that he has been on the trade market and been looking for a change of scenery, and that change of scenery will come much closer to his native state of Connecticut, as he will be playing for the Philadelphia Flyers, with the Ducks sending him to Philly for forward Ryan Poehling, the 45th pick in this year's draft, and a 2026 4th-round pick. Your initial thoughts on that trade, Pierre?
He's lucky he gets to go play for Rick Tocchet. Rick does a really good job with young forwards. I'll use Phil Kessel as an example when Rick was an assistant. You can look at the job that Rick did with a lot of the young guys in Arizona and what they were able to learn from him. And you can even look at some of the different things he did out in Vancouver with young forwards. So Rick does a really good job with young players. That's going to help Trevor. I still don't know what the blueprint is for the Philadelphia Flyers in terms of the type of team they want to have. Because if you look at most of their acquisitions, they're smaller, speedier, skilled guys, not big, luggish, hard guys to play against. So that's going to be interesting to see how they do this summer with Keith Jones and Danny Briere. In terms of, Anaheim, I'm not going to say they're getting to be Florida-esque down the middle. I just talked about this on Montreal radio, but just think about it for 1 second. Ryan Strome, Leo Carlsson, Mason McTavish, Ryan Poehling. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Poehling 4, McTavish 3, Carlsson 2, Strome 1. Think about Florida. Barkov, Bennett. I think he's staying. Yep. Then you got Lundell. Then you got Nosek. So I think Poehling's as good or better than Nosek. I don't think McTavish is better than Lundell, but he's pretty darn similar. They don't have anybody like Bennett. Bennett's a wild card.
Yeah.
But Carlson is like a baby Barkov. He's very similar. And so you add Strome to the party. They're doing it with numbers.
Oh, yeah.
And Jimmy can tell you, we did an exercise before we came on. And I was showing Jimmy why this works, this formula works. And he goes, okay, I see it now. I see it. So I give Verbeek and his staff a lot of credit in Anaheim. They got a good plan. They're not going to tell you what their plan is. I showed Jimmy what their plan is based on what I'm envisioning. And Jimmy, I think you would agree it's a good plan.
It is a good plan. And we also, we discuss as part of that plan, making a push to get Mitch Marner. And you look at it, I think it's a good landing spot for him. We've discussed this before, but now I think he can look at that team and see how strong they are up the middle. Now, as we also did another exercise trying to say, for Mitch, he might realize, depending on where he signs, that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, because there aren't too many centers better than Austin Matthews out there. And we're not by any means saying that Leo Carlsson or Strome are better than Austin Matthews, but it's a good, solid core up the middle there. They're a young, rising team. It's a good place to live. It's a little less stressful than playing in a market like Toronto. So I do agree with you, Pierre. I think that that's going to be a team to watch when it comes to Mitch Marner.
Well, it's just one of them. I think Vegas is another one you have to watch.
I think Vegas makes a ton of sense.
I think Carolina's one you have to watch. They obviously got jilted this spring when they didn't keep, one of Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
They didn't keep Gensel the year before. And then I think Tampa, I don't think they're happy in Tampa losing the first round back-to-back years. I think that's kind of upset them. So, and they got guys coming. Please don't misunderstand me, but they don't have the wealth of player they used to have coming through there. And that's only because they traded a lot of picks to get to where they are now, which you understand.
Well,
you go to the final 3 years in a row and you win 2 out of 3. I mean, you got.
And what was Breezewire? Remember Breezewire with that famous quote he had this past year about living in the present and win now. Yeah.
So, anyways, I think Mitch is going to have a lot of cool places to look at. But I think one of the underrated ones, which you and I talked about before, is Anaheim, because of what we're just talking about when we do this exercise. If you evaluate it, let's just say you're Mitchell's agent and you're looking at it, you're like, okay, this might make sense.
They have a lot of cap space.
And what Jimmy said is so true, and it's really important. Austin Matthews I don't care what anybody says. Austin Matthews, not this past season, the year before, almost had 70 goals.
Yeah.
Like, there are not a lot of guys doing that stuff.
No, not at all. And quickly, we're going to get right into the Q&A, Pierre, because I know you got to get out of here at 4. You got the big Hall of Fame meetings and everything up there in Toronto. Yep. The other thing I was going to ask you, you talk about Florida. You mentioned them. And it seems like they are going to make a concerted effort to keep Ekblad, Bennett, and Marchand. I definitely think we agree that Marchand and Bennett will stay. Ekblad's kind of the question mark there, but he seems very intent on finding a way to make it work. I'm looking at their roster on Puckpedia, Pierre, and I'm just trying to see, okay, then who are the sacrificial lambs in terms of freeing up some space to make all that work? And I didn't realize, I mean, they've got some other UFAs, so maybe they just let those guys walk. But I'm looking at their roster up front. And I'm wondering, are they going to have to maybe say bye to a guy like Listerinen? Is that kind of a guy? I know it's not a huge hit, but they're going to have to pick spots where they can free up money. But he's a great player, but they're going to have to sacrifice something. I just can't figure out what.
So you got to look at, what do they do with Kulikov?
Okay.
What do they do with Schmidt? Those are the guys. What do they do with Listerinen? What do you do with AJ Greer? I'm not saying they're moving these guys, but when you're evaluating your roster, you've got to, unfortunately, that's part of the price you pay for winning. It's just the way it is. Do you have somebody that makes less money than Tomas Nosek, even though I know how much Paul Maurice really reveres those guys? What do you do with Jonah Gadjevich? Like, it's just, this is part of the problem. It's not a problem either, but it's part of what you have to deal with the cap. It's just the reality of doing business. It used to be, we're going to keep this guy or we're not. Now it's a harder decision, especially when you come off a win and back wins, no less.
So they'll be interesting to see what they do there. So we'll look into that more as this week gets on, and then as we approach free agency next week. But let us tell you right now about our sponsor, Betway, where you can still go all the way with Betway and get up to $200 on your first bet, even if you lose, and that's only for new members. So go right there to the QR code in front of you, sign up for your new membership, or go to the details section and sign up there to redeem your welcome offer. This offer is not available in Ontario. You must be 18 plus and always bet responsibly. No games to bet on. Maybe we'll do some draft positioning betting on Friday, Pierre, before the draft, which I think is actually probably a very tough bet, because I think a lot of those guys keep going up and down there in terms of where people think they will land. So it'll be interesting trying to figure that out. But let's get right to the Q&A here. What do we got? We got anything? We're early. So, all right. Juice _03017 Pierre. I was looking at the Canadiens draft history recently and noticed that they drafted a player by the name of David Fisher. I remember him in 2006, but he never got signed to an ELC. What kind of player was he?
He was a mobile, smaller defenseman out of the state of Minnesota, played at the University of Minnesota. Probably should have got more of an opportunity. I think there were questions about, just how much he would fit in at the NHL level. Mm-hmm. But he had tremendous skills and he could really skate. There were holes, obviously.
Yeah. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
You know what? People always do that to the kids. And that's not a bad question. It's a fair question. I just want to caution everybody. The kid doesn't pick where he's going to get drafted. The team does.
Yep.
It's like when a guy gets a big contract and he doesn't live up to it. You got to ask yourself the question: would you have signed that contract if you would have been that player? And the answer is, yeah, you would have. So, I like to take. And you know what, Jimmy? I got to tell you, like, I'm not trying to be a softy on this one, but I just see the vitriol that's out there towards some of these kids. And I'm like, well, let's just tap it down a little bit. You want to go after somebody, go after the guy that drafted him, or go after the GM that made the offer on the deal. Exactly. They're the ones that are guilty. It's not the kid that's, you want to pay me $5 million a year? I'll take it. Even though it might not be worth it. I'm going to take it.
It's so funny you say that, because I just saw a tweet, and I forget who it was, and I apologize. It was a Rangers reporter, and he's talking about the rumors of Gavrikov maybe signing with the Rangers. And he says, look, I love the player. I love what he brings, but I just feel like it's going to be Goudreau part 2 because they're going to throw too much money at him. And it's not his fault, and he's going to get criticized, and he's just doing what he does best. And that doesn't mean, even if he doesn't live up to that money, that doesn't mean he's not doing his job. So definitely look at that, not just with the draft, with free agency as well coming up. Always remember, the players don't choose how much they get paid. The players don't choose where they get drafted. All right, next question. Chad Laylaw. Jimmy, what's the news coming out of Boston on Wednesday? Only New Jerseys are announcing Pasternak as captain. Yeah, Pierre, I don't know if you saw.
I know, I've seen it.
Yeah, I kind of looked. Maybe they were hinting at Pasta becoming the next captain. And we'll see. I don't know anything for sure. I just know what everyone else saw there. I do know, though, that they are going back to those unis that I grew up with, kind of the early 80s up into the mid-90s. Spoke B and the stripes are going to be the same. They're going to look a lot, from what I gathered, they're going to look a lot like the unis they wore in the Centennial game against the Canadians back in December, which I thought were great. So should be interesting. All right, next question. Jay Fed, does Philly play Zegras with Michkov? I don't know, Pierre.
What do you think their minus will be?
I was just going to say, and plus spread the wealth. Spread the wealth when it comes to the offense.
Everybody's going to talk about that, but one of the players there that I think could have a huge year next year is Ty Forster. I really do. Just knowing Rick and having had I call it an honor to coach players in the league. I thought it was an honorable thing to have the opportunity to coach Rick in Pittsburgh. Spent a lot of time with him, and I just like how he does stuff. I liked how he did stuff as a player, and I like how he does stuff as a coach. I think he'll make a lot of those kids better. He will. He'll make a lot of them better.
Can you just dispel the notion that Rick suffocates offensive players and doesn't let them express?
That is so fake. Yeah. That's such BS. Whoever wrote that doesn't either go to their practices or doesn't understand. And if it's a player saying that, it's because Rick might have been too hard on him.
Yeah.
That's a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah,
I can tell you, Pittsburgh never suffered any kind of offensive problems. They're talking with the assistant coach that running the forwards.
Yeah,
0.
Remember what he did with Phil Kessel?
I do. I'm the one that said it. I broadcast all the games. I watched him massage Phil, take care of him for a long time. And Phil responded unbelievably well to Rick. He
arguably Phil did it himself, so I'm not taking anything away that he did himself. But in terms of outside forces, he helped save his career, in my opinion. It was amazing the work he did with him. All right, next question. Bert L. How hard is it to break through the trained responses of prospects when you're meeting with a player? Any fun stories from interviewing a prospect?
It's so easy. It's so easy. Because one of the first things you do if you feel like a kid's been programmed to answer, tell us about your relationship at home.
Ooh.
First question. And so for some kids, you catch them. Yeah. Because they're going to say, well, at home, my mother does this and my father. Or the guy that's being honest is going to say, well, I have 2 families. One is my billet family where I played junior. Mm-hmm. Or one is my my fraternity house or my teammates where I live in college. Or the other one is going to be my family home. Yeah. So that's how you judge.
Yeah.
So the first question, I'm telling you, tell us about your relationships at home.
Yep.
Do you have brothers? Do you have sisters? Because that gets them right off of the thing.
Yeah.
All these guys go in. I think I told you this. One of the questions, are you a willow or an oak tree? And the kid goes, sir, what's a willow tree? He's from Northern Canada. He doesn't know what a willow tree is. What a moronic question.
I love it. All right, next question. Brad K. With Toews signed in Winnipeg, is he the leader that can propel the Jets to the conference final? I think
Jimmy,
further than
Jimmy, are we going to get to this one, or are we just going to answer the question?
Yeah.
Did we not say Toews was going to Winnipeg?
We did a long time ago, right that was right when he did that interview when he talked about, where was it, India he went to, and he was thinking about coming back. He went on this trip. Yeah, and you said it right away. You made the Winnipeg connection there.
Anyways, long story short, he's going to help them. They got one important thing for them, and it's not. I don't know how much is being talked about. They got to get Adam Lowry, back healthy. He's having.
Yeah.
If he hasn't already had it, he will be having surgery. I think he might have already had it.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to get him back. He's an important part of their team. He's a really important part of their team. Scheifele's got to be 100% healthy. Obviously, Kyle Connor's a fantastic player.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Perfetti, we talked about him on the eye test. He had a real breakthrough year last year. There's a lot of good stuff going on there. A lot of good stuff. But Jonathan can take it. And I will say it again. Pittsburgh doesn't win their cups in the early 90s without Brian Trottier. If Winnipeg's going to break through, they had to get a player like that. The only guy I can think of in this modern era that's like that is Jonathan Toews.
Yep. And I wanted to, before we move on from that, Pierre, how much are agents going to try and replicate that amazing contract that his agent got him? Because it was creative as hell with all those bonuses.
Well, that's smart, though. It's smart by Kevin Cheveldayoff, too.
Yeah. Both sides work out well.
That's not a hard one to negotiate. Guys like that have huge built-in pedigree, they're not hard ones to do that.
Yeah.
It's a guy that thinks he has pedigree and does, and you have to tell the agent, whoa, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're telling me your player's this, and I can give you 10 players that are better than your guy.
Yep.
And so if you really want your guy to sign, here's what we got to sign at. You know, that's where negotiations get a little sticky.
Oh, yeah. All right, next question. Juice, is it harder to find a true number 1C or a top end goaltender in the NHL? What position is harder to fill? That's a great question.
It is. It's really hard to find a number 1 center.
I think it's harder to get the one.
It's really
not by a lot, but yeah.
If you look at most of the top end centermen over time, now Joe Thornton went first overall in his draft. Johnny Tavares went first overall in his draft. Austin Matthews went first overall in his draft. Sidney Crosby went first overall in his draft. Outside of Marc-Andre Fleury and Stéphane Fiset, you can't really come up with a lot of guys. And the Islanders took the guy first overall, Rick DiPietro. But outside of that, you don't see a lot of goalies going first overall. And quite frankly, no disrespect meant to either Fiset or to DiPietro, but they're not Marc-Andre Fleury. Neither one of those guys is Marc-Andre Fleury.
All right, next question. Jason Forster. Hi, Pierre. Do you think Tavares is a good fit on the Habs as a second-line center? Enough speed to be on a line with Demidov or no?
He'd be a really good pickup, but I just don't know what you have to do term-wise. Speed's not – his brain works fast, and his puck movement is so good. He still moves a puck at an elite level, and he can grind. And if he's surrounded by skill like they have in Montreal – and some of the speed that they have, I don't think that'd be an issue at all. I think it'd be a great fit for Montreal. I just don't know if that's what he's going to do. I think there'll be other places looking at him.
Yeah, and I'd say too, like, I think, a lot of people up there, people are starting to wonder what's taken so long with the contract period, because it seems like both parties want to keep this going there in Toronto.
Yeah.
Hey, these things go down to the wire all the time. It doesn't mean they're not, one side said, all right, see ya. This happens.
Yeah, Jimmy, like, to be fair, I don't think they always go down to the wire. Sometimes you get them done sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. So, a lot of these, like Matt Duchene, 4 years, Connor Brown, 4 years. We're seeing a lot of these guys, they're going more term. It's kind of what we talked about, more term, less money. I thought that would be the negotiation that would stand up for Johnny Tavares, and clearly that's not. So I got that wrong. There's something going on.
What's the one I'm thinking of, though, last year, Pierre? It went right to on Florida, Reinhardt. I mean, you went right to the deadline.
That's a different
type, though. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
He's going long. He's playing the long game, which you can understand. It's a different scenario to Duchene or Tavares or anything.
Right. Tavares more at the end of the curve. Okay. All right. Next question. Sound the siren. Guys, what is Nashville doing trading for Haller? Confused on that direction.
No, here's the deal, and it's a fair question.
Good question. I was wondering.
They want character guys there. That's a Barry Trotz acquisition. They want a face-off guy. They want a penalty-killing guy. They want a guy that's a pain in the derriere to play against. And they want a guy that's going to grind. And so Holla brings you that. Is he elite at offense? No. Is he elite at defense? No. But is he elite at being a grinding person? The answer is yes. Yeah. And so I think they're trying. They saw what happened last year. They were, I think, just shocked by what happened last year. And so they want to get back to where their identity is as a franchise.
Nobody's talking about them, which makes me think something big might happen there. All right, next question. Ben Chapeteau Katz. I hope I pronounced your name right. Jimmy, you tweeted that you hear the Islanders and Bruins are still talking. Anything you can clue us in on? Just the stuff I already reported that, they've discussed multiple scenarios. I don't know players' names that are involved right now. I just know that they've been talking. And the one thing I keep an eye on, Pierre, when it comes to the Islanders is we know they would like to get Hagens in addition to Schaefer. A lot of people have him right now slotted in at 7th. Is that why you think they might be doing that, so they could take both?
I don't know. I'm not buying into any of the stuff that's going on with too much of this is internet fodder. It's not from real people. It's people that want to be scouts that aren't scouts. I'm not taking any of that stuff because I can tell you, did a lot of drafts, both working in them and broadcasting them. Anybody that leaks draft stuff, that should be instantaneous grounds for firing.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bunch of guys that work the whole year and they work their tails off, and women, by the way, now work their tails off to compile all this information and intel. And if you start sharing that publicly and who you might take and who you wouldn't, that should be grounds for instantaneous dismissal.
I should say, though, Pierre, in this, and I agree, but in this situation, the Bruins already openly themselves said we are open to dealing this pick.
Oh, well, that's different.
Okay.
That's not talking about players.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
care about that stuff. I'm talking about
I misunderstood.
The information that you compile about players.
Yeah.
That's yours. That's your treasured information.
Yeah. Yeah.
You own that.
I still can't understand the Dobson thing. I get it's money. I know it's all about money, but still, I pay him if I'm the Islanders. I think he's a key.
We asked this last year. Once people told me that he was asking for $11 million plus, I'm like, that's not going to work. Now that was when Lou Lamoriello was there,
right?
But it's still the same owners, and you still got to run the budget by the owners. And I'm just telling you right now, I've said this a million times. I'll say it again, and this is not a knock on Noah Dobson. You know what I think of him as a player. I'm a big fan. He's not better than Jake Sanderson. No. He's not.
And that's the
Jake Sanderson makes a little over $8 million a year. And people say, oh, that's 2 years ago that he signed that contract. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had that. This is going to be the biggest moment for a lot of these owners and managers because everybody keeps the cap's going up. The cap's going up. No, it's not. Not as much as everybody thinks.
Yep. And as we were talking off the air, Pierre, there's going to be some GM or multiple, a year from now wondering, why did I do that last summer?
Like I read something the other day, and this wasn't internet. This was legit, that they think the cap could go up to $118 million in the next few years. How?
Yeah, I know. And the ratings, by the way, we keep hearing bad rating stories about. Do you see the ratings in Florida?
Yeah. Oh, I've seen the ratings all over.
Yeah, that's just.
I feel terrible for the TV people. I do know. I feel terrible. It was.
Yeah.
You got to. I can't believe people aren't fair about this either. Yeah, the ratings were not good. They haven't been good all year. We're one of the few people that told you the whole year this wasn't a good year for the NHL TV market-wise. But what killed them in the playoffs, no Pittsburgh, no Boston, no New York Rangers, no New York Islanders. Like you start doing the math of no Chicago Blackhawks, no San Jose Sharks. These are all good TV deals, situations for the league. No Buffalo Sabres again. Buffalo's a massive, they're loyal hockey people in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Just telling you, it's all the wrong teams make it. It's bad for the league. It's bad for business.
I agree. Everything you just said are major factors. How much do you think streaming has hurt?
Probably hurt them a lot, but at some point they're going to figure out how to monetize streaming. They will. They'll figure that out. And when they do, streaming is going to be a positive thing for the league, not a negative. You know, I'm not going to give the country. My daughter lives and works in Europe. and she's a massive hockey fan, and she can watch games on her handheld device.
Yep. It's amazing.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Got to take care of those blackout issues, though. All right, next question.
That's another story.
Yeah. Murray McDonald. What's up, Murray? Hey, guys. Thanks for the show. Question I have is the Habs have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks in this draft coming up. In 2 separate transactions, could we use those picks to move up twice if there was an option?
I think you could, Murray. I really do. I believe. And by the way, it's a great question, well thought out, formulated. I think you can. I haven't spoken to a lot of the key decision makers in terms of what their vision is for the value of a pick, but I think you could. In most drafts historically, and I'm going, this will be 36th draft that I've been around and a part of. Usually when you have that kind of collateral, you can move up.
Yep. All right, next question. Ian Lewis. Hi, did the return for Zegras seem a bit light to you? Mm-hmm. How much has the Florida model affected the market value of smaller, less physical players? Will that trend turn once Florida has been solved?
Well, the trends always turn. There's always a new trend.
Right.
So I'll touch on that. I don't think what Florida did affected what Zegras is all about. I think Zegras has been trending downward for a while, and I think part of what happened to Trevor, who I think is a very talented kid. I'm telling you, I've been watching him since he's been 12 years old. Very, very talented kid. When he had the one breakthrough year and the league put him as the cover boy for the league,
mm-hmm.
He's never been the same player since.
No. All right, next question. Bert L., Jimmy and Pierre, what style of player do you most enjoy to watch, even if they're not franchise players? Guys like Tumo Ruutu, Big Buff, were some of my favorite to watch in Chicago. Love those. Big fans of both players there, Bert. Big fan.
Well, I grew up worshiping at the altar of Larry Robinson and the late John Ferguson Sr. I like rough, tough guys that play and produce points. I love Kevin Stevens when I had the honor of coaching him. Obviously, Mario Lemieux. Mario was sneaky tough, by the way, far tougher than people knew. Alfie Samuelson was one of my favorites I ever had a chance. Christopher Pronger. So I don't like faint of heart players. I kind of like. So if you were not, I like Bennett a lot. Who doesn't? I like Ekblad a lot. I wish he moved the puck a little quicker sometimes, but I like him a lot as a player. Mm-hmm. Gustav Forsling, little undersized guy who plays real big and tough. So I like those kinds of players. Rick Tocchet was one of my favorites.
There we go. In the words of Brian Burke, we like truculence.
Truculence. All right. I'm going to see Burke in like 10 minutes.
Tell him I said hello.
We'll see how truculent Burke is in 10 minutes.
He's always truculent. In a fun way, though. 2 more minutes here, though, for Pierre. So let's get another one up here. What do we got? THG Wicked 50 Cal. A lot of Islander fans are tweeting subtle tweets regarding number 7 and posting pictures of Darsh. Hopefully it's good news for the Islanders. Yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of speculation, like we said there, around that. So keep an eye on that. All right, next question. Juice, if James Hagens was 6'1" instead of 5'10", would he no doubt be a top 3 pick? Yes.
Yes. Yep. I watched James Hagens probably as much or more than any scout in hockey last year. My son played head-to-head with him, in 3 different games. So I watched that and obviously a lot of BC games. He's a really talented kid. I'm telling you, you cannot go wrong if you take him. No matter what the number is, he's going to play in the league and he's going to play well. It's about how long is he going to play. Mm-hmm. The size is an issue.
Yeah. Based
on the way the game's being played right now. It doesn't mean it's going to last that way forever. I'll use an example. Jack Hughes is a really good player, Jimmy. I think you would agree with me.
Yes.
Jack Hughes is a really good player. Jack Hughes has had, 2 or 3 surgeries now? Shoulder issues? He's not a big guy. I mean, it's just those guys are targeted. They pay an unbelievable physical toll. So.
Yeah. I just especially at that position, he's definitely going to be a good 2C, though, I think. Pierre, would you agree?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yeah. I haven't seen him play enough, but is there any you don't like to do comparables, but
I'll do this one though. I'm comfortable.
Okay, go for it.
Because I had Jeremy Roenick when he was 17 in hockey camp at Europa Cup. Jeremy he and Tony together and Monty were crazy good.
Oh
They
my
were on the
God.
same team.
There,
Darren was in that camp. McEachern, like these are guys that played in the NHL. Lots of them. They were all there. Stephen Hines, Marty McGinnis. I can go down the line. These guys were all in that camp at the same time. This would have been back in like the mid to like 06 to or 1986 to 88 when these kids were just coming in. Jeremy was really good. So when I see Hagens play, I see a lot of Jeremy. Now the difference, Jeremy, I'm talking about athletically. Jeremy's just thicker. He's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
You know, and Jeremy was a powerful, powerful guy. Hagens is not like that, but talent-wise, there's a lot of similarities. There really is. It's just the size thing is the one thing that doesn't allow him to be put where maybe Jeremy was or somebody else.
All right, Pierre, it is 4:00.
Hey, can I just say one thing? And I appreciate you filling in for me.
Yeah, no problem.
The Hall of Fame meetings are so important, and it's something that I'm just so blessed to be part of, and I respect it so much. And Jimmy knows I put a lot of work into this. When I do presentations, I put a lot of work in. So I appreciate your patience on these 2 days every year. This is our second year. You've had to be patient. I'm grateful for that. And I also want to say congratulations to Greg Cronin. He got bounced in Anaheim, not an easy thing. He's landed on his feet. He's going to coach Iowa, Minnesota's farm team. And I'm so happy for him. I was texting with him earlier today. Awesome guy. Press conference, I think today or tomorrow in Minnesota, Jimmy, if I remember.
Tomorrow. Yep.
Tomorrow in Minnesota. I know he just landed there. We were texting. But I'm telling you, I'm so happy for him. He's been a great friend to this show, and I'm thrilled to death for him. Really happy.
Congratulations, Crow. I'm glad you said that, Pierre. Pierre, good luck. Have fun. And we will see you back here tomorrow, my friend. All right?
I'm going to call you later.
We'll talk. Yeah.
Because my flights are cuckoo tomorrow.
Yep.
So
totally understand. Let me know.
I know. I'll talk to you. Okay,
all right.
Thank you, everybody.
There goes Pierre McGuire off to his Hockey Hall of Fame meetings and then their annual dinner. A lot of bigwigs in the hockey world there right now. Not just the ones that are on the committee. Pierre tells me just a lot of people show up. Former players, Hall of Famers go there to catch up. It's like a big reunion. So I am definitely jealous of Pierre right now. So he'll have a great time there tonight. All right. We got any more questions? Let's keep them going. Chad Laidlaw, what would you say to critics who argue that hockey is too regional or niche to ever achieve the TV rating of other major sports? I would say they're not right, Chad. I think that could have been said maybe 10, 15 years ago. But, you know, I know people don't like Gary Bettman a lot. I know a lot of people criticize him. I do have to give him credit where it's due, though. He has done a tremendous job of utilizing expansion teams to build the game from the grassroots level up, i.e. Arizona, California, Florida, Texas. More and more hockey rinks all going up across the southern border there in the United States, where I think, 20 years or 30 years ago, when I'm growing up watching a game, I would have laughed if you told me that teams are winning Stanley Cups in Florida, back-to-back years there have you. But I don't think that's the case. I think there are some areas where they're not really into it. And ironically, some of them are places that are colder. But I don't think that's the problem. I think the big thing is streaming. They need to figure out a way to monetize that better, to get rid of these blackouts, because, nobody really watches on TV anymore. I talked to a friend of mine in Florida. He says, yeah, no one, of course the ratings are bad down there. Hardly anybody has cable. Everybody just uses Hulu or Fubo or, ESPN Plus, whatever it is that you like. It's not a TV thing anymore. It's all online. And so they need to figure out how to quantify that and look at those ratings better and then make money off it. So we'll see what happens. I know it's a big topic right now in the CBA talks with the league and the PA, and they're eager to change things and improve it for sure. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski, I'm nervous about this 97 short-term extension thing. He's talking about Connor McDavid, and I'm not an Oilers fan or a Canadian. I just saw what these type of deals did in the NBA, and it petrifies me. It's not good for the fans. Agree? First off, and it's a great question, Alex. First off, what I would say, like, if I'm the player, I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to sound like I care just about the money, but, this is my living. If the money's there, I'm going to take it while I can, because you never know if the next day you get up and you go to practice and you shatter your knee and you can't ever play again, or you suffer some other career-ending injury in the next few months, and you look back and say, wait a minute, I could have had that, but I took this. So from a player standpoint, I mean, I get it. You want to stay somewhere. You want, in Connor's case, I think it's if he does it, it's him putting pressure on the team, obviously, to build a better contender and get it over the top to win that cup. But just be careful. Like, these players, man, their careers are short, so you take what you can get. But I'm with you. Yeah, I don't like what's going on in the NBA either. I saw yesterday, was it Durant was traded? It's like, isn't that like his fourth team in like 5 years? I don't follow basketball. It just seems like he's on a different team every year now. So I'm with you, Alex. All right, I think we got one more. The Wicked 50 Cal. If Hagens played in the CHL this year instead of NCAA, would he have been still regarded as, at worst, a top 2 player in the draft? I don't think that had anything to do with it, with all due respect. I think the NCAA gets a lot more respect from those who rank the players, whether it's the professionals or, scouts, what have you. I mean, that's why we have this agreement now, right? Where you're seeing major CHL stars jumping down to college hockey. By the way, Elliot Friedman in his podcast I heard today was reporting that McKenna has spoken to Penn State, Michigan State, and Denver, and it appears, according to him, that Michigan State and Penn State are the front runners to get him. So he didn't speak as if it's a if. It sounded more to me like McKenna might be coming down here. I'm going to see what I can dig up on that, but that's a huge loss for the CHL. So, all right, next question. What do we got? Juice. Jimmy, you said the other day in Twitter that if the Habs, what would have happened if the Habs drafted Patrice Bergeron? Would they have won a Stanley Cup by now? And by the way, they passed on him twice. I was thinking about it because I was texting with Mark Recchi a while back. Anyhow, my question is, why didn't the Habs draft him with Patrice being French Canadian? I think that's $1 million question. I don't understand that one either. He's right there playing in their backyard. That was a big coup by the Bruins. I mean, that might have gone down as one of their best draft picks they ever made, that they were able to get him in the second round in what was a deep, deep draft, 2003. All right, next question. Ian Lewis, Jimmy, any new thoughts or info on how the Bees are moving forward, drafting, rebuild, buy and trade their way back into the playoffs? I've been told, and I've been told this actually since the season ended for the Bruins, and they didn't even make the playoffs, so we're talking a couple months now. On top of having to find a new coach, I was told that Don Sweeney, and that might have been why the coaching search took a little longer than people expected, but I was told he's been one of the busiest GMs in the NHL in terms of going in person to games, to meet prospects, just to do whatever he can to turn it around for the Bruins right now. I've been told he's been one of, if not the busiest GMs. And I think they got a lot going on right now. Some stuff I can't say that I know of, but they're working on a lot of different things. My guess is, like, I don't have a good guess. I wish I could give you something, but I don't know which direction they're going to go with this pick. I really don't. If I was them, I'd keep the pick, because I think you need to start to build up the middle and start to replenish the system and really restock your system. But if it can get them somebody right into their roster, like an already proven NHLer in some kind of package, I get what they're doing. I'm not criticizing them. I'm just telling you, I would take the pick. All right, next question. Mike, would it not be better for the Bruins to have a full rebuild instead of signing players like Brock Besser? Yeah, I'm hearing the Bruins are one of multiple teams that are interested in Brock Besser. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it seems like right now, and it not seems like, I mean, they basically said it. They want to contend right away again. If they can do that and also at the same time retool a bit, they're trying to do that as well. But it doesn't surprise me that they're interested in him. But I'm with you. I was, if you can get your hands on a 2026 first round pick, in terms of where the Bruins are right now, I think that's a very valuable piece as opposed to a roster guy for this year. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski, I'm having a real hard time believing the Oilers aren't doing everything they can to win a championship. why aren't we holding them accountable for this? They aren't a cheap franchise. It bothers me. Alex, I don't know what they're doing. They could be doing everything they can, and they're just striking out. They're throwing misses. They're not getting the bullseye in a lot of things they do right now. And I think last off season was a perfect example of that. But I mean, they're right there. You know what I mean? I know for Oilers fans right now, it seems like the end of the world, and you're frustrated and ticked. I can get your impatience, but you're still right there. It's not gone. And, with a couple really smart strategic moves, I think one of them needs to be goaltending. They might be able to get over the top. So I'm not counting them out yet. But yeah, I think this McDavid thing, I hope it gets resolved before the season starts, because I think it's going to be a huge cloud over them and a huge distraction they don't need. All right, I think we got one more. Andrew McGinnis, what's up, Andy? Hey, Jimmy, which Habs prospects do you see being moved or offered to teams? Some have said Logan Mayo could be a guy. In order to trade, they'll have to give up some key picks or prospects too. You're absolutely right. I think a lot of things are in play when it comes to the Canadians. I've seen Logan's name as well. I wouldn't do that. He's a guy I'd hold on to unless you're really knocking my socks off with a huge impact player that's coming in. Yeah, I think a lot of things are in play. Obviously, Demidov or Fowler or Suzuki, the untouchables are the untouchables, but I think they've got a lot of arsenal to deal with. And I think they're going to be busier on the trade market because of what we're talking about than they will in free agency, because they've got so many assets to use and frankly, not enough room, right? Because you're still going to draft guys and they're going to be coming up. So they've kind of got a crowded house below the NHL. And I think they're going to use some of that in trades. I think that's it. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your questions. Sorry for the short show and that we had to go early, but we should be back on 4:00 live tomorrow. Not sure if Pierre will be with me, but I am working on a couple guest options. So I will let you know and we will post that tomorrow morning. For everybody out there, though, like we said, stay cool. And by the way, to our producer, Juliana, congratulations on your engagement. She will now be getting married. So congratulations to her. And thanks to the crew up in Montreal. I'm Jimmy Murphy. This has been another edition of the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.